When you think of the word civics, what do you think of?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I think of the word civics, I think of getting involved in your community, whether that's through your local school board, getting involved on the state, federal, national level. Involved isn't just enough. It's really taking time to learn about the different policies and procedures and things that you may or may not be voting for. I think that's really the most important piece, is to really take a deep dive into those kinds of topics and really understand how those will impact you, but not only you, our society as a whole, really when you're making a choice, but then also really working with your communities that you're involved in and making sure that you're spreading the awareness about that voting, and also just how to get involved and give back to your community as a whole.
Person, place, or thing that sparks you when you hear the word civics?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I think of the word civics, I think of my dad, Brian. He started serving on the school board in 2008. So I was only 4 years old at that time, but he served on the school board until this past year. So he just got done this past January in 2024. So he served 16 years on my local school board. And throughout that time, I mean, I was very young, but as I grew up and kind of watched him go through his time as a school board member, I really learned about the importance of giving back to your community. And while he gave back to his community through serving on the school board, there's a lot of other people who give back to their community in other phenomenal ways, like stepping into serving as mayor, city council, and then ultimately like other roles as well, state legislature, federal legislature. So I really think my dad is a really big inspiration for me, just because I've seen firsthand how he's been able to impact students in our community and really make sure that our education system in our rural community is thriving and inclusive to all students in our communities.
Many people equate civic engagement to just voting, but it's so much more, including all types of government service. What makes individual roles in the government functions so vital to our democracy?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I think about that, I think it's about doing your research ahead of time to know what you're voting for. I think that's the most crucial piece that I've learned, especially voting. So I was able to vote in, what would that have been, 2022 for the governor race in Minnesota, and my first ever time voting, and then obviously voting in the presidential election. But it's really more so about taking the time to really understand what you're voting for and how that will impact you and our society as a whole. So while voting is arguably the most important piece, getting out there and making sure your voice is heard, I would argue that the behind the scenes work kind of internally and taking time to figure out what you believe in and how you believe in that, and really working to understand how you came to those conclusions, but then also really looking at it from the other side too, and kind of really having conversations with people you may disagree with and understanding how they from their viewpoints as well.
Why should people participate in different levels of government, such as student, local, state, and federal government?
I think each level of government provides a really unique thing. Whether you believe it or not, all those different levels we just talked about really do impact you. So whether you're voting for the student government elections, city council, school board, all of those really work together to form kind of one cohesive unit, which is hard to see sometimes how they all interwork, because it's pretty confusing, and I'll be the first to tell you that I don't even understand how all the different branches work together. But really, when you think about it, all those different branches are really what make change. So in voting in the school board election, like I talked about, is really important, and making sure that your voice is heard, I think, is the most important piece, because all of them provide a really unique component to us.
What do you think prevents people from getting involved?
I think one of them is just unawareness about how to vote and that kind of thing. I know in this past election, presidential election, I heard a lot about talking about how to get registered to vote, especially a pretty young society, and it was a lot of ours first time voting in this election, and really just how to vote, but also how to register to vote, I think is one of the most important things that we can work to grow awareness about. Because I heard a lot of people, and even some of my friends said, like, well, I'm not registered to vote and I don't know how to, but like, you can register to vote the same day of the election and really ensure that your voices are heard. So I think it's going to be important, just looking out into the future, working with the younger generations of our society to really make sure that this is important and you need to register to vote, and then also get out and vote and do it on election days.
How can we get students, the community, and the nation more enthusiastic about civics?
I think the most important way is to get young people excited. I think if there's anything, I enjoy feeling appreciated within our United States government and really making sure that I have a place for my voice to be heard. And I think that would make a lot more people get involved with civics. And I think, especially as we continue to have the younger populations eligible to be voters, I think that's one of the most important things we can do. But then also really making sure that policies are inclusive to those younger generations and really encompassing their needs. I think having those and having candidates that will best represent, really, I keep saying younger populations, but all populations will really get people excited to vote, because I think they'll be able to see and feel that impact of their vote and actually voting.
What would be most helpful for you to get more involved?
That's a good question. I think it's just spreading awareness. Really, at the end of the day, it's having those difficult conversations, even talking to people that you may disagree with. I think that's really what's so beautiful. We have the opportunity to do that, really, because that helps to shape our viewpoints on various different policies, but also having that civil conversation about maybe why you disagree with someone and why their viewpoint is different than theirs really fosters that democratic process and ensures that everyone's voice is heard and that we can really make change together as a society.
Anything that you'd like to add that you feel like we didn't touch on?
That's a great question. I would just encourage everyone to get out and vote in the student government elections. Elections are March 4th and 5th. You can use the vote.iastate.edu website, or you should be getting an email from the Iowa State Election Commission. But really, at the end of the day, your voice matters on campus, and really get out there and vote. It's a pretty easy process, but at the end of the day, every student's voice matters, and we want as many students possible voting in this election.